How many times have you watched an opportunity for connection dissolve simply because you couldn't distinguish between genuine openness and polite courtesy? You see someone across the room who captures your attention, and immediately your mind constructs an elaborate prison of doubt. Should I approach? Am I misreading the situation? What if I embarrass myself? This internal paralysis is not new to our generation. The ancient Stoics understood that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. That fear of judgment often creates the very isolation we're trying to avoid. Here's a truth worth examining. The world constantly offers signals of receptivity and openness. Most people simply haven't trained themselves to recognize them because they're so consumed by outcomes they cannot control that they miss the quiet invitations happening right in front of them. If you're tired of second-guessing every interaction, if you're ready to move from confusion to clarity through disciplined observation, then what follows will fundamentally change how you navigate social opportunities. I'm going to share 3 timeless behavioral patterns that reveal when someone is genuinely open to your approach. These aren't manipulation tactics or tricks borrowed from questionable sources. They're observations about human behavior that have remained remarkably consistent throughout history, rooted in how we communicate receptivity without words. This is about developing the awareness to act with appropriate confidence when the moment calls for it. The first signal is what I call the acknowledgement of mutual recognition, and it's the most powerful yet commonly misunderstood indicator of openness. Most people have heard about eye contact, but here's where wisdom separates from assumption. A casual glance means absolutely nothing. It's social noise, the equivalent of background chatter. The acknowledgement follows a specific sequence, almost like an ancient ritual encoded in human behavior. She looks at you, and her eyes meet yours for a full 2 to 3 seconds. This isn't a quick scan of the environment. It's a deliberate pause, a moment of conscious attention. Then she breaks the contact by looking down or slightly away, which might seem like the end of the interaction. But here's the critical distinction. Within moments, her eyes return to you. It's an intentional second look, often accompanied by a subtle smile or a slight tilt of the head. The first look says, "I notice you exist in this space." The second look says, "I want you to know that I notice you, and I'm curious about who you are." This double acknowledgement is her way of giving permission without the vulnerability of verbal invitation. When you observe this pattern, she has created an opening for you. To hesitate at this point isn't respect or consideration. It's fear disguised as politeness. The Stoics taught that wisdom includes knowing when action is appropriate. This is precisely that moment, and failing to act is failing to honor the opportunity both of you have created. The second signal revolves around how she positions herself in her environment, what I call the opening of space. The ancient philosophers understood that our bodies often communicate truths our words carefully conceal. When someone is genuinely closed in new interactions, they construct physical barriers. Their body becomes a fortress, arms crossed tightly across the chest, foam clutched with both hands like a shield against the world, body angled away from the open room, a bag strategically placed as a wall between themselves and others. These are the unmistakable signs of someone who has decided they're unavailable for new connection. But the opening of space operates entirely differently. She deliberately removes these protective barriers, creating a clear pathway toward her presence. She might touch her hair or neck gently, gestures that expose vulnerability rather than guard against it. She places her drink or phone down on a nearby surface, freeing both hands and signaling she's not occupied. Most tellingly, she angles her body, her torso and feet, toward the flow of the room or toward you specifically. This is an open, receiving posture, the physical equivalent of leaving your front door unlocked with a light on inside. This signal requires you to elevate your awareness from scanning for weakness to observing genuine invitation. You're not looking for cracks in someone's armor. You're noticing when someone has consciously lowered their defenses because they're open to the possibility of connection. When you see relaxed shoulders, open hands, and an orientation that includes rather than excludes, you're witnessing a fundamental receptivity to approach. The third signal is perhaps the most sophisticated and tests your confidence most directly. I call it the extension beyond current engagement. Often, she'll be actively talking with friends or engaged in her own activity. Most people wait endlessly for her to be completely alone, which might never happen. But the extension occurs when she's occupied yet still directs energy outside that immediate engagement. While telling a story to her friend, she glances toward you right at the punchline, unconsciously seeking your reaction. She repositions herself within her group to stand at the periphery, facing the larger room rather than closing herself into a tight circle. She makes an expressive gesture, an animated laugh, or deliberate movement, and then immediately checks whether you noticed. She's extending attention beyond her current conversation, hoping someone observant and confident will respond to the invitation. This is powerful because it demonstrates awareness. She knows you're present even while appearing occupied, and she's asking a question without speaking. Are you confident enough to introduce yourself despite the social momentum I already have? This separates those who wait for perfect, risk-free conditions from those who recognize that meaningful opportunities rarely arrive with absolute certainty. These three signals are not guarantees of romantic success or lifelong partnership. They are simply indicators that an introduction will be received openly, and an introduction is all you need to begin anything meaningful. The ancient Stoics taught us to distinguish clearly between what we control and what we don't. You cannot control whether someone will ultimately be interested in you, but you absolutely control your awareness, your courage to act appropriately, and your willingness to engage when genuine openness presents itself. Stop waiting for absolute certainty or permission written in skywriting. The most valuable moments in life arrive as quiet signals that only the observant and courageous can recognize and honor. Master these three patterns, and next time you won't freeze in self-imposed doubt. You'll simply know and you'll act accordingly.